Hi, how you going? So there are psychopaths in this world, and this is really worrying. You may even interact with them in your daily life and not even know. To work out whether someone's a psychopath, you could look up the symptoms and usual presentations for someone with this condition. These can include boldness, superficial charm, pathological lying, lack of empathy and remorse, inclination to violence or psychological manipulation, impulsivity, narcissism. But judging whether someone has or some or all of these traits is difficult, very subjective, and could potentially require years of study to understand all the nuances involved. Also, it seems like a lot of work and not very fun. Instead, you could use a simple test we developed a few years ago. It's quite quick, doesn't require any time-consuming training, and is so easy it can be administered by a child. It only takes a few easy-to-obtain tools, and also it's fun. The test goes like this. You unexpectedly blow some bubbles and watch the test subject's reaction. That's it. If they get excited and try to pop them, or they try to keep them in the air, or you can see the childlike enthusiasm in their face, then they're probably all good and they've passed the test. If they don't react positively, or they're able to ignore the bubbles, then they may be a psychopath. Everyone loves bubbles. This is universal, unless of course you're a psychopath. Psychopaths know how to fit into society. They're masters of blending in and somewhat hiding the aspects of their personalities that society frowns on. They've learnt over the years what they can show and what they should keep hidden. But unexpected things catch them off guard, and pretending to unleash childlike enthusiasm is not something they excel at. They've never felt the need to practice this to continue to hide in plain sight. I must mention at this point that I've never studied psychology, so I have no idea about any of this. This is another potentially ignorant and probably wrong situation. But it all makes sense to me, so it must be right? That's how the world works now. That's what we've decided on as a species. If you don't know or understand something, then you definitely don't take the time to educate yourself. Instead, you react based on gut feelings and prejudices, and then demand that your unfounded opinions be taken seriously because you have the right to free speech. So I demand that you take me seriously because this is my unfounded, uneducated opinion, and I have rights. Anyway, this test was formulated a few years ago when we were near the exit of a music festival as people were filtering out, and a friend was blowing bubbles which floated through the crowd. On seeing these bubbles, pretty much every person would reach up and try and catch the bubbles or try to pop them. Most people would smile, and some would break away from their friendship group to get closer to the bubbles. We were reassured that our newly developed test had not identified any psychopaths in the crowd, that the people we'd been interacting with throughout the weekend were not likely to kill us if they thought it would lead to their personal gain. That is, until one specific group of people walked past. Some bubbles flew through the air near them, and 3 of the 4 people smiled, laughed, reached up, and immediately passed the test. The 4th guy, on the other hand, looked straight ahead, seemingly annoyed at the existence of the bubbles, no indication at all of any childlike enthusiasm whatsoever. He clearly noticed them, but didn't give any indication of wanting to interact with them. So clearly he was a psychopath. It was quite worrying indeed. I wondered if his friends were aware of the troublesome condition that this guy had, that they were friends with a psychopath, whether there'd been any signs that they'd previously ignored or that they'd given him the benefit of the doubt because they were good people, good friends, and not psychopaths themselves. We wondered whether we should let them know so they could try and get him help, or so they could be on guard during future interactions with him, or whether cutting him out of their friendship group immediately would be the best course of action. We turned and watched as the group settled back into their pace and kept walking. Constant vigilance is important in serious cases like this. The psychopath in their midst kept on frowning and moving forward, but his pace slowed ever so slightly until he was a step or 2 behind his non-psychopath friends. Then he did a quick head check to see if any of them would notice, flashed a big grin, and popped a bubble that had floated into his path. He tried his best to ignore the bubbles, but he couldn't. Everyone loves bubbles, unless of course they're a psychopath. We breathed a sigh of relief. Everything was right in the world again. He wasn't a psychopath after all. His friends would be safe. He was just a bit cranky, or tired and emotional, or wanted to project the image that he was too cool for all this kid stuff. But even he who had put away childish things, even he couldn't resist the allure of the bubbles, just floating there in the slight breeze on a sunny summer's day. Test passed. Thanks heaps for watching. Let me know if you've got any questions, or if you'd like to pay me lots of money to write a follow-up to John Ronson's amazing book, The Psychopath Test, or if you just want to drop in and say hi. Anyway, I'll see you next week. Bye.